back from their spring practice report. Exciting day here at Hawks. We got to see some live reps. It was kind of fun to see all the quarterbacks in action with all the different offensive looks. And something Isaac Gifford said today was the speed on this team is notably different from last year. Not just on the offense, but on the defense, on special teams. And as you can imagine, that's going to challenge this defense and make them better. To be able to work against an offense that's a little speedier, quicker, as he said, all year long leading up until this next season. And I want to stay right there with Isaac Gifford. He was a focal point today, especially in the press conferences. Coach Coop called him one of the best players in the nation.
Legitimately, Isaac Gifford is one of the best players in the country. And pretty soon you all will see, like, he's a warrior. He's tough. That's why he's got the single digit. You see him out there, shoulder harness. He does not want to miss a rep. He covers well. He knows the defense at a high level. He knows offense at a high level. Of course, he tackles well. That's well documented. Even before I got here, he was that. He's just one of those guys, like, as a coach's dream.
And I think as we've all seen his growth and evolution the past few years, he's become not only just a better leader on defense, but a leader for this team. And if you've been following along with the Chasing 3 documentary on YouTube, you'd see that he's just become, like I said, not only just a better leader on the field in the defensive room, but also just for this team on and off the field. And something he noted today is he wants to be approachable and available for these younger guys to lean on him. And he said they are. And he's really glad that he's been able to be a leader just for the younger guys, but also just this team. And something else I want to talk about on defense, because it was a huge talking point last year, was the takeaways. And it's very obvious that is front of mind for this group this year, because in the coaching, in the reps, that's something that's being said a lot. We got to punch the ball away. Takeaways, takeaways, takeaways. And I think we talk about so much of the reps, and I know that's been a huge emphasis for this coaching staff, that they break this team apart and so many players get so many reps. Everyone's trying to almost get equal reps. But we talk about the reps, but I want to talk about the repetition of the mind, because when you hear the coaching and you hear the learning that's happening here on the field, the same messages are being said over and over and over and over again as these guys transition through each stop during practice. And I can only imagine that eventually sits inside these players' heads, and I actually know it does, because Isaac said today, he said, the whole point of our defense, and Coach Coop says, you have to learn it, you have to live it, and then you have to defend it. And so that's been a huge part of getting those takeaways this year, and also just becoming a well-oiled machine on defense. And Coach Coop said that he's like, we can't really get to step 3 and 4 on defense if we haven't mastered step 1 and 2. And so if they don't know the defense, they don't know the ins and outs and the coverages yet, it's really hard to then know how to break it and focus on the offense, the offensive strategy, and then get those takeaways. So that was a huge focal point today on defense. And then I want to talk about special teams, because we got to hear from Coach Foley today. And I think it's really interesting to hear him talk about his players and the relationships he has with his players, and just, what they saw from year 1 and what they're hoping to get to next year in year 2. And I want to talk about specifically about his relationship with Tristan, because I think we all are a little bit familiar with the homegrown kid and what he offers his team. A lot of people saw him at Westside, but last year, he said he had a pretty great year. No moment felt too big for him, but Coach Foley said, 60% really isn't going to be good enough, and Tristan knows that. So the focus for all the special teams guys is just getting better again, growing from what they did last year, growing this year. And I think it's really special to hear a coach and their relationship with their player.
There's a fine line between, pushing and backing off, and, and encouraging, and, getting them to stay focused. So that's the hardest part about coaching. And then you got, the guys in your room, whether I was coaching the tight ends or the O-line or now special teams, they all have kind of different approaches and different buttons to push, or different ways to motivate them to get them to perform. So most of it was with Tristan and with the guys nowadays, there's not a lot of pushing them to become more intense. It's really the other part of it. They're so obsessive at times with their craft that, and everything that they do is out in front of the whole world now. It's not like when we played, it was like you could make a mistake and nobody cared or nobody knew. Now it's like, they put so much pressure with this social media identity that they have, that they're putting a lot of pressure on themselves.
So a lot of the same, like I know that I said a lot last year, a lot of coaching, a lot of teaching, a lot of learning, a lot of reps, but I think that's just the philosophy of this coaching staff. And as we heard Giff and Coop say, you have to learn it, live it, learn it, defend it. And so that's what it kind of seems like is the philosophy widespread across this entire team, is just trying to get as many reps in to learn this thing in and out. So that's about it for today. We'll be back next week for another practice report.